I was first approached by Michael Gracie saying, hey, maybe we'll do a film, tell me your story. I was extremely excited and knew and completely understood what a gift this might be for my life. This story is about the pitfalls of fame and the relationship with how one sees themselves through the eyes of the world looking back at them. Acceptance of self is a big aspect of the movie, but acceptance of everything is key. Acceptance to who your family are and what they won't be, and acceptance to what the world is, what it isn't, and what it can be. I just watched the film with a massive audience and got to experience that with the director and the guy that played me, which I think was incredibly special. And then there was a standing ovation, and in that moment, I'd got everything that I'd ever wanted. I'd been understood. I knew that I was incredibly lucky to have somebody with the genius of Michael Gracie being even semi-interested in doing anything with me, whether it be, an advert for cat food. I'd have been like, wow, I'm doing an advert for cat food with Michael Gracie. As it happens, I'm doing an advert for Robbie Williams with Michael Gracie. I can explain to you why the monkey by saying, why not? I'm a big fan of not everything having to make sense. And when you watch the movie, you won't be able to say why it makes sense, but it just does. At the ripe old age of 50, I'm now ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. It's really it. I'm really there. It really happened. And that's what you're getting.
Better Man, for me, is a story about love. It's a love story. It's a love of not boy meets girl, but someone accepting themselves and trying to love themselves for who they are and bettering themselves. Pardon the pun. I loved every minute of it. I grew up wanting to do musical theatre, wanting to be a pop star. It was a pop star I wanted to do when I was a kid. So to have that moment with the mic, doing the Robbie flip with the mic and, belting out it was a dream. We were both leaving set and we just bumped into each other and we had 20 minutes outside and we were just talking like two guys, two regular Joes talking about family and football and gym and, the process and whatnot in Australia. And it was a side to him that I hadn't seen because I was never within that circle. And it was a really useful 20 minutes for me. I got to see this more intimate, this more considered person that isn't always on. And it shows me that when he goes on stage, he comes alive. People, when I was telling them that I'd got this role, the first thing that they just prick up at is Michael Gracie, director of Greatest Showman. And he's such a collaborator. The scenes that we've done so far, he has his vision. He knows exactly what he's got a layout. He's got a plan. He's got almost a blueprint for all the scenes. But he's more than willing for you to riff and to play. And if I have an impulse, he's the first person to be like, follow it. Let's see where it goes. And we've had some really magical moments from that. But to have someone who cares so much about a project only makes you and everyone else want to care about it more as well. I think the audience are really going to enjoy a performance in this. We're going to see a much more fragile side to Alison that we haven't seen in a long, long time. We know for Gavin Stacey for a big comedy role, whereas this is much more delicate. It's much more about the heart, I think, and I think it's going to really blow people away what she's doing. It shows how big a thing this movie is because Steve's been working for 30, 40 years and he said he's never done anything like this, and so it was kind of refreshing and really comforting for me to hear someone with his esteem, someone with his experience to say how I was feeling. And we've had some great moments together. He breaks your heart and pisses you off at the same time with his character. He's found such variation within that role that he's kind of the guy that you love to hate to love. You're still rooting for, even though he's made some terrible decisions, and that can only be a credit to the layers that he's found within his performance. I was doing some scenes with Kate, and I went over to watch the panel afterwards just to watch her close up, and she just brings such human emotion to her scenes. Nothing looks performed. Nothing looks put on. Everything looks so just considered and heartfelt. And yeah, she's Kate Mulvaney, and I hold her in the highest regards. I think people that don't know his music are going to be introduced to a whole new star for them. and the people that do know his music, and they're going to be reminded of how brilliant it is with a whole new context and a whole new setting. And hopefully for them, it's like listening into it for the first time because we've got a whole new story behind it.
There are some real universal themes, you know, like The Greatest Showman. It's following your dreams. It's also like, you know, being able to look at yourself in the mirror and love what you see, you know, being able to accept the person you are. And so in that way, there were some real parallels. And I also love the power of, you know, those sort of stories where Elton John, Freddie Mercury, they're musical geniuses. Rob was a kid from Stoke-on-Trent who is not a musical genius, but he has whatever that is. And that took him from Stoke-on-Trent to the entire world. In a lot of musical biopics, people won't really show you the dark side. They won't show you the hurt, the pain, the struggles, the fights. And Rob has been unbelievably generous in saying, this is me, this is who I am, the good with the bad. And I think that makes for a really powerful story because you don't feel like you're getting the watered down version of this narrative. There's a real energy to the film because you're watching someone have this extraordinary rise to fame. And it's not just once, but it's twice. It's with Take That initially, then he sort of hits rock bottom after he leaves Take That. And despite everything that everyone told him, he did it again. And in a way, he did it even more. As a solo artist, he was even bigger. And so to watch someone shoot for the stars twice is incredibly exhilarating. It's exhilarating storytelling, it's exhilarating visually. There's a real excitement that you're watching someone doing the impossible. The thing that I was really drawn to is the father-son aspect of it. I think that there's someone said that all rock stars are basically, you know, sons on stage crying out for their dad. But I think that in Rob's case, it's such a unique thing to have a father who idolizes Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., who his excitement, his passion for that is 100% passed on to Robbie. And there's something really, you know, beautiful in terms of narratively about a father who doesn't get to realize his dream, but his son does. And in Rob realizing his dream, he gets to allow his father to stand on stage in front of 80,000 people and perform. Working with Rob's incredible. I think that you make the mistake of not quite understanding how unique Robbie is. And the more I worked with him and the more that we would try and nail certain performances of his and find that combination of wit and charisma and showmanship, the more admiration I have for him as a human, as a performer. You really understand that the ingredients that is the makeup that is Robbie Williams is really special. Jono gave this film his all. His commitment to portraying Robbie in a truthful, in a exciting, in a energized way was so impressive, and it blew me away. I was so impressed with the deep study he did of what makes Robbie Robbie, but also the relentless nature of take after take after take after take. He would just give it 150%. One of the joys we got was shooting the concerts for real. So there is something about being in a room with all of those people having a shared experience of watching Rob in concert, which is why this film works at the cinema, because it is a shared experience. You want to go along, you want to see those spectacles up on the big screen, you want to see that emotion, that roller coaster, and you want it to be a shared experience. With this story, we have incredible music, we have an incredible narrative in Rob, and we have technology that is only just able to pull off what we want to do. And so it's a moment in time that all those things came together, and that's what makes this so special. Essentially, this film is the rise, the fall, and the resurrection of Robbie Williams.